And welcome back to SWBA Today. And in today's episode, we are doing a Game 4 recap of the late game last night between the Indiana Pacers and the Milwaukee Bucks. We're also going to be doing an injury update around Damian Lillard. We're going to be talking about how this is going to impact the Milwaukee Bucks whenever they start their offseason. Then next, we're going to be talking about some Game 4 previews as we got the Miami Heat versus the Cleveland Cavaliers, and we got the Golden State Warriors versus the Houston Rockets today. And so let's go ahead and start with last night's game, and that was the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Indiana Pacers. And so, look, this was a game in which the first major key takeaway out of this is that Damian Lillard did get injured, confirmed that he is going to be out for the rest of the series and definitely the rest of the season now with a left torn Achilles. And so we're going to be talking about that some more and just the impact that that is going to have on this franchise moving forward. And so shifting now and looking at the game. And so let's start with the Indiana Pacers and what they were able to do, because I think that the first key takeaway out of this is that Miles Turner absolutely came to play. He was much better here in this game. He had 23 points. He was 4 of 5 from the free throw line, 9 of 13 from the field, and he was 1 of 3 from downtown. But I just think more importantly, Miles Turner came out. He was aggressive. I think he hit his first 4 shots, if I'm not mistaken. And so he was on fire, and he definitely wanted to come out and establish a rhythm early. And I think that that was key for the Pacers really in dominating this game towards the end. Next up, I think another key takeaway out of this is that once again, the Pacers are a deep basketball team. I think that you got a chance to see just how many players that they can throw at you at a given game, because Aaron Naismith, he played well. He had 14 points. He had 5 rebounds. He was 5 of 8 from the field, plus 26. He was extra chippy out there getting into it with the Milwaukee Bucks. Then you look at what the Pacers got off the bench. Obi Toppin, 13 points. Jarris Walker out of Houston. He was a lottery pick at one point coming into the SWBA, really starting to get a chance to play with this Pacers team. 12 points, 4 or 5 from deep. He also had 5 rebounds as well. And then also, too, TJ McConnell coming off the bench, he had 15 points as well. And so just great contributions across the board from the Indiana Pacers. And then Tyrese Halliburton, we know he's a star, 17 points, 15 assists, and 8 rebounds. So almost had a triple-double, plus 25 in the plus-minus box score. So the Pacers really getting anything that they wanted to from the field as far as shooting the basketball. When you look at the field goal percentage for them, they shot 60.2% from the field over the last 2 quarters. To close out the game, they shot 69.2%. So that was just great percentages. Just the shots were going down for the Pacers. And then on the other side of this, with the Milwaukee Bucks, we just talked about the injury with Damian Lillard, but with Giannis, he continues to score at a high rate, and he continues to be super active for this team and literally doing everything that he can. He had 28 points in this one. He was 9 of 20 from the field, 15 rebounds. He had 6 assists. He also had a steal as well. So once again, Giannis doing everything that he could do, but just got no other contributions from anybody else. Kyle Kuzma had 3 points. You had Damian Lillard, who was obviously out with the injury. He didn't get a score. Gary Trent Jr., 6 points after having a huge game the game before. And so you didn't get anything from him. Then next, Taurean Prince, 15 minutes. He didn't score anything. And then also, too, they didn't get anything really from Pat Covington. He only gave them 3. The only other supporting cast member that he got some help from was Kevin Porter Jr., who had 23 points. He had 5 rebounds and 6 assists. I thought that he played very well. He was definitely chippy out there and kind of mixed it up for this team. But again, I think that the Pacers do a terrific job as far as just giving Giannis different looks, whether they're walling him off, whether they're giving him some zone. They've been giving him, some man-to-man coverage, and I think that Pascal Siakam has been terrific in what he's doing and really bothering some of the things that Giannis is doing, even though he's scoring. And then when you look at the team box score, some of the key takeaways out of that, the fast break points, 16-2 for the Pacers. And so I think that the Pacers an outstanding job as far as not just getting into the half court game. I think that they did a terrific job as far as getting the basketball off of the boards, as far as we're talking about rebounding and getting up and down the floor and just attacking the Milwaukee Bucks before, they could set their defense. And so they did a terrific job there. And then, for a team that they don't have anybody as big as Giannis, so to speak, but they just do it in multiple ways. They beat the Bucks up in the paint, 50-38 there. And so I thought that was huge. And then the level of physicality in this game, it was won by the Pacers, 7-1 in the block shot. So just terrific all-around play, for the Indiana Pacers as they now take a commanding 3-1 lead, getting ready to head back to Indiana. They won this game 129-103. And so now I wanted to shift focus and talk a little bit more about Dame Lillard and just this situation. And so, look, it was reported that Dame Lillard, again, has a torn left Achilles. If you got a chance to watch the game, just awful because, it was just a non-contact. He was just running up for the ball. And then you see he just kind of give out and, he couldn't get up. And so it was terrible to see that because you see a guy that has really just fought his way back this season, dealing with the calf strain. He also was dealing with the blood clots as well. And so for him to get back, I thought that was phenomenal. And then for this to happen is just terrible. And so this leaves the Milwaukee Bucks into, I think, a tough offseason, in my opinion, because Damian Lillard is 34 now. He's going to be 35. This injury happened, April 27th. And so he's probably going to miss, I think, the year. We don't know what's going to happen, but just going back to Kevin Durant, when he got injured in the NBA Finals, he missed the entire year, the next year with the Brooklyn Nets, the entire year. And so you think about that now with the Milwaukee Bucks, we see this team and how they struggle without Damian Lillard. You can imagine what is going to happen if they have to go through an entire year without him. And then when you look at the fact that they added Kyle Kuzma over, he really has not been the replacement that they needed for Chris Middleton, who obviously has some championship experience with this team. And this team has really turned over a lot since they won the SWBA finals. And so, you wonder now, what is going to be the direction for the Milwaukee Bucks? Does Giannis want to stay there? There's several rumors out there that suggest that maybe Giannis would want to leave. You're looking right now on the screen. You have some players that have some player options. That's Bobby Portis, Pat Covington, right? These are players that have been a part of that championship formula as well. Maybe there's a chance that they are, moved. Who knows what's going to happen? But I think that the Milwaukee Bucks really have a tough off season coming up. And then when you think about the coaching change that they made a season ago, Adrian Griffin, look, he got replaced at 43 games in, and it wasn't like he was a terrible coach. Look, the Milwaukee Bucks were winning, and so I think it shocked everybody when Doc Rivers came on board. And, Doc Rivers, successful coach. He's won an SWBA title. And, it just hasn't worked out the way that they've wanted it to work out. And so, like I said, the Milwaukee Bucks, they are going to have a very long offseason. And so I'm curious to see how this team is going to pivot, because they have got to do something to get this thing going in the right direction again, because it has been just kind of downward ever since they have won the SWBA title. And so next, I wanted to go ahead and jump into the previews for tonight's games. And so let's start with the Miami Heat versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. And so currently, the Cavaliers are up 3-0 in this series. Essentially, this would end it if the Cleveland Cavaliers can win tonight. And it's not like that the Miami Heat have kind of laid down in this series. I think that they've competed well, but I think that this is more about the Cleveland Cavaliers, and we're seeing just how good that they are. And so we're looking at DeAndre Hunter in the screen, who I think has been really huge for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I think that he's going to be huge for the Cleveland Cavaliers as they make a run this offseason, or not this offseason, this postseason, because DeAndre Hunter, to me, he's like an X factor. He's a player that has been with the Atlanta Hawks. I believe he was on that team that went to the Eastern Conference Finals. And I love the move that they made when they went out and they got DeAndre Hunter. He's a versatile defender. He's a guy that can knock down some shots from the outside. He also is a player that can impose his will inside from a post presence. And he's great in transition. So he really gives you everything. And I just think that they needed that type of versatility off of the bench. And so I love how they strengthened that with Ty Jerome. So I think the supporting cast is there. The question now, these are the moments that we want to find out about the Cavaliers, right? If you're supposed to be that team, you got to find a way to close out tonight. And so I think for the Cavs, it's going to be about the supporting cast. You're going to need to see, I think, Donovan Mitchell have to come out, and he's going to have to be in finals mode tonight. I think he has to really lead the way. He cannot have the type of game that he had in game one and expect that that's going to be good enough, because this Miami Heat team, they're going to compete until the very end. Tyler Hero has been at another level really since this team has moved on from Jimmy Butler. I think Bam has played very well too. Khalil Ware, their rookie, has played well. And so expect for the Miami Heat to give the Cleveland Cavaliers everything that they want to handle in this game. And so they're going to come at them with everything. But I do think that the Cleveland Cavaliers will finish off the series today. I think it's going to be a 4-0 sweep, but it is going to be quite a game today. I don't think that they're just going to walk over the Miami Heat. And so next up, the next game, the last game of the night, really, and that's going to be the Golden State Warriors versus the Houston Rockets. And so at the time of this recording, from what I'm reading, it looks like that Jimmy Butler is expected to be out there for the Golden State Warriors tonight at home. And so this is a huge game. I guess from what I'm seeing, Jimmy Butler was close this last game. I guess he had done a pre-workout. He had practiced and things like that. They elected to hold him out. Let his body get some more rest, but it looks like that they're expecting to see Jimmy Butler suit up tonight. And so I think that this is really huge for the Golden State Warriors. I think it's huge for the series. I think that it's 2-1, but I want to say that Houston cannot afford to lose this game. I think that this game is the type of game where Houston has to win tonight. They have got to find a way to win, because if not, I think that the season might be over for them, even though there's another game to go, because you cannot go down 3-1 with the experience that you have with the Golden State Warriors, understanding moments, being clutch, just understanding a team that has been there before. They've been in these situations. The Houston Rockets have not been in this type of situation before, which is some of the things that a lot of us were talking about with the Houston Rockets is, yes, they look great. They look like a team that certainly belongs, but they just haven't been there before. And, the only way you learn is you have to go through it. And this might be one of those teaching moments for the Houston Rockets, unfortunately. And so they got to find a way to get it done. And I think for the Houston Rockets, it starts with you're trying to slow down Steph as much as possible. I know that, that is something that's easier said than done, but you have got to figure out a way to minimize Steph Curry, especially into these clutch moments. I think that he's done a terrific job as far as really cutting up the Houston Rockets at the big moments in games. And so that's point number one. They got to try to find a way to kind of slow him down. Number two, I think the number two thing that the Houston Rockets will have to do is they're going to have to take away some of the others, because what Gary Payton II was able to do, that was tough for the Houston Rockets to really, kind of get through that. And then lastly, when you look at just player performance for the Houston Rockets, defensively, they're going to be there like they've been pretty much every game in the series. I think they just have to make some minor adjustments here and there. And like I said, slow down some players. But they have got to figure out a way to where Jalen Green has got to be consistently doing what he did in game two. Like, he has to be more towards that type of ceiling of the 38 points. I'm not saying he has to score 38 points all the time, but you can't have a game where you're scoring 30 plus and then you come back with 7, with 9, with 6, with 5. Like, that can never happen, with him, because the Houston Rockets, really, that's probably the biggest hurdle for them next to conquer, is just the offense and the consistency, because defensively, this team gets it and they try to beat you up on the boards and things like that, which they clearly have the advantage in this series, because Golden State, they do not have a big team like that. They don't have a lot of length. They don't have like the traditional centers and things like that. And so you have the advantage there. If you're Houston, you're going to get the extra possessions. But if you're getting the extra possessions and you're not getting anything out of it, then you're just wasting it. Like, and that's essentially what's happening when your stars are not being able to hit shots. And so Van Fleet, Jalen Green, those guys have got to play well if they're going to win tonight. And so I like Golden State. I just think that the experience with Golden State is going to probably, I think, kind of just it's going to take over the game. I think that the Houston Rockets, as much as I love what they're doing and everything else, I just trust that when the game gets tight, which I think it is going to be tight, I think it favors the Golden State Warriors at home. It's going to be wild out there, and I think that they understand the moment. They're going to come out with tons of energy. Jimmy Butler back, and I think that they are going to give it to the Rockets, and I think it's going to come down to probably the last two possessions of the game. I think it's going to be a very tight game, but let's see what happens. So anyway, let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. Do you feel like the Golden State Warriors are going to be poised to go up 3-1? Do you feel like, no, you feel that the Houston Rockets are going to come back with vengeance in this game? Do you feel like Jalen Green is going to have one of those games like he had in game 2, along with Alperen Sengun, who's been really the most consistent player, I'd say, for the Houston Rockets? They're going to take it to the Golden State Warriors tonight. And then next, how do you feel about the Miami Heat and the Cleveland Cavaliers? Do you feel like that the Miami Heat have something in the tank to at least get one and make it maybe a gentleman's sweep? Or do you feel like, no, the Cleveland Cavaliers, they want to show how real they are and they want to take care of business, start to get rest for the next round? And then next, what are you guys thinking about this Indiana Pacers and this Milwaukee Bucks series? Do you feel like that this series is pretty much over? It is headed back to Indiana, and really the Pacers have dominated the first couple quarters in this series. And keep in mind, the Milwaukee Bucks do not have Dame Lillard officially for the rest of the season. And lastly, let me know what you guys are thinking about this news with Dame Lillard. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are about that. Do you feel like that this is definitely going to lead to really a long offseason for the Milwaukee Bucks, because they have got to make some decisions? It's been a tough couple seasons with Dame Lillard, and there's the potential that he could maybe miss all of next season. And then you have Giannis there, and I'm not sure how the Milwaukee Bucks could get better over the offseason. And so I think that there's a huge question marks here with this Milwaukee Bucks franchise. And so let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. And as we always say, see the game and be the game. I'll see you on the next one. All right, peace.